Hello, good afternoon, welcome. It's David and Nick here, and yes, we're back in the studio. It's been a long while, but Nick and I decided it's time to get back. Time to come back onto the big screen. Nick, it's a sunny afternoon. The sky is blue, the sun is shining, and we're sat inside, but for a good reason, of course.
Absolutely, my friend. Yeah, sun is shining when we're in the studio, and we are back. The amount of times over the last however many months it's been, someone has said, "When are you going to do the live stuff again? When are you going to go back on screen?" Well, I tell you what, we're back, and it's been prompted by a very, very, very important discussion that's going on at home, at work, and beyond. Mate, this will be a series of discussions. What are we talking about?
Well, first off, we're alive and kicking. For those that think we are AI, we are real. We are the real thing. You can touch us, prod us, and poke us. But we're here to talk about AI versus the human. Now, for those that have tuned into some of our content in the past, or maybe had the pleasure of meeting Nick and I, we come from different sides of the coin. We work together, we deliver content together, we have lots of fun together. But I've got the nickname Digital Dave. My background is in technology, and you've got the nickname Analog Ants, because some say you're a little bit behind the time when it comes to the technology. And I think that's very unfair for them to say that, Nick. But you're a human-centric communicator. We'll learn more about that in a moment. But we thought, what an opportunity to talk about technology and humans and bring them together, because AI is a hot topic at the moment. It kind of really kicked off a couple of years ago when OpenAI launched their ChatGPT platform, and all of a sudden the word AI exploded. And you can go to most meetings today, even sitting around your dinner room table, going out for a meal with friends, and at some point the word AI crops up and the conversation pivots to talking about technology and how ChatGPT is doing this and how Claude is doing that and Perplexity's doing my research for me. So we thought, well, let's evangelize this. Let's break it down. Let's have some fun. Let's explore it. Let's deliberate it. And let's find out the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Definitely good timing, mate, because absolutely everywhere. Please excuse, lovely audience, if I go off into a bit of a rant. I don't mind tech at all, but I'm pro-human. So I tend to look at things with, okay, what does it look like in the human world? And you tend to look at it, what does technology kind of offer us? And to start the conversation, mate, when we said, right, let's do this, you said, I'll produce the cover art in AI. So that lovely image that you saw of David and I, AI versus human robot light bulb, yes, that's the one.
That's the one.
Can you believe it? Produced by AI, right? However, panic not, analog fans. I've produced the same, but by human. See if you can tell, right? I've given it away because that one is the AI one. This one, that one is produced by a human. Can you see that all right?
Yeah, it's coming through. It's I think it's quite good. It's blurred. Actually, I must say your art skills are not bad. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I don't know what's going on in my mouth, but
yeah,
good.
Yeah, don't look too bad. No, I tell you what, that's not a bad effort. Not a bad effort at all.
It's authentic, right? It's got some real. You can tell, right? You can tell blood, sweat, and tears have gone into that. I'm just pressed a button, crafted that. Right. So, and this is the issue, right? If you're a creative, slightly better than me, if you're a creative, you've got to be looking over your shoulder, surely. All right, thinking AI is coming for me. I was in a pub in Leicester, oldest pub in Leicester, right? Beautiful place. Talking to the bar staff. Young girl behind the bar, left uni 5 years ago. She is a graphic designer. Okay, hasn't been able to find a graphic design job because AI has taken them all. She used to do graphic design for the pub, and the pub now are using AI for their posters. They're not even using the staff who they've got working behind the bar. Right. So what's she going to do? And what's she going to do looking forward? What are any of you creatives going to do looking forward? You know, how long before AI can do this show, mate, as good, if not better, than us?
Well, there's an interesting one. Maybe one of our future shows, we would do an AI created show. See if it can replace Dave and Nick.
Oh man, it's so depressing already. Look at
I know,
just the fact that we think that's possible. There's enough slop out there already. No, you don't need an AI version of me and you ranting on about stuff. What you need is the humans, right? You need the human discussions. I bet you can. I bet you can.
Yeah. Look, and just to make it very clear, I am, absolutely pro-human. I love meeting people. Nick and I run some in-room, face-to-face, in-person, where we have amazing conversations and collaborations. And that is powerful. Hence one of the reasons we've not been on the screen for so long, because we've been out there in the real world with real people having real meaningful chats and conversations. However, I do love technology, and I do think there's a time and a place how it can be used. And that's what this show's about. It's about some of the things that we can benefit from. And you've mentioned this lovely lady that works in a pub who's a graphic designer who can't get a job in graphic design because the technology is becoming so good that it's taking away those particular creative opportunities for that individual. So there's lots of others we can explore. Copywriting being one of them, marketing is huge, but we're not limiting to that. There's so many other things out there. What I'd love to know, for anyone that's joining us live, maybe you're watching this on catch up later date, tell us in the comments how you have started to use AI. Because a lot of the people that watch this are business owners or running small to medium-sized enterprises. We'd love to know how you're using technology in your business. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you've said, no way, Jose, I'm not going to be using any technology such as AI because we are going to use humans to do human jobs. But just to make it clear, because people say to me, is AI going to take our jobs? There was a post on LinkedIn earlier this week, and someone put on there, and I said, oh, yeah, AI is not going to take our jobs. Well, it has, and it's happening. And I want to quote Oracle. Some of you have heard of Oracle, one of the biggest tech companies kind of on the planet. 5,000 jobs, Nick, shredded last week. In fact, it was done in a very bad way. It was done in that very corporate, 7 o'clock in the morning, an email was sent to all the employees informing them that their job at Oracle would come to an end. But it doesn't limit there. Salesforce, earlier this year, shredded 5,000 jobs. Amazon, Meta, so we're talking a lot of tech-based companies here shredding jobs. For those that know Klarna, which is the payment processing platform to spread your payments over, I think normally like 3 months or something like that, they've halved their workforce. They've gone from 7,000 employees, around that number, down to about 3,000. And they're saying by 2030, we're going to reduce that to 2,000. And on top of that, it's saving us $10 million per annum in savings on overheads and costs. So this is real. This is happening. It is taking jobs and it is changing the world. For the best, I don't know. This is what we're going to talk about. But it is changing the world today. Not in the future. It's happening right here, right now.
I'll be surprised, right, if anybody listening, I'll be surprised if there is anybody listening, but I'll be surprised if anybody's listening that hasn't been affected by AI in one way or another. Even if you're kind of a bit like me and trying to keep it at arm's length, it's everywhere. And if they've got AI working efficiently for them, then chances are their AI is doing the work for them right now, and they're out in the sunshine enjoying a lovely day. Right, which hey, there's a benefit there. But so you know me, I love to read. I was rereading World Without Email by Cal Newport. Brilliant book, a very interesting topic. In his conclusions, he refers to Neil Postman, who made a speech in 1998. Right, the 5 things we need to know about technological change, and the 5 things are fascinating. Look it up. use AI to find it if you need to. Really, really interesting, each of these points. Bearing in mind, it was written in 1998. One of the points being every advantage of new technology offers, so every advantage it does offer, there's always a corresponding disadvantage. But these advantages are never distributed evenly. So Oracle, Klarna, Amazon, Meta, whoever, lay off a load of people because AI is going to do the job on their behalf at next to no cost. So great, efficiency driven for the business, for the shareholders, but not necessarily for the people that actually have trained to be great at customer service, and now that there are no customer service jobs, or I've just left university and I want to get into the legal profession, but I can't get a job because those early legal profession jobs don't exist anymore because AI is doing them. So the advantages are never distributed evenly, and technological change is not additive, it's ecological. In other words, a new medium, AI, doesn't just add something into the mix. We've got the world plus AI. It changes everything. Hence the discussion, hence the kind of the toing and froing of where are we going with it, what's good about it and what's not so good about it. Where should we stand up and go, nope, that has to be human? And where can we say, actually, no, that's a realistic efficiency driven by AI? Now, I have no issue whatsoever if AI is speeding up research in the medical profession, right? Which I know it is, right? So it's doing the work thousands of times quicker than it's been done in the past. So more research, much faster, more cures to dreadful diseases. I can't imagine anyone is going to say, oh, that's a bad use of AI. But huge, awful uses of AI. Most of it is just absolute trash that appeals to people who just want to have a little bit of fun, right? Oh yeah, I've got this new app that does this, you know, that turns me into a bloody slug. I don't know, whatever the crap it is. And then we'll just send that around the intersphere. It's just nonsense. So I think good stuff, great. Rubbish stuff, can live without it. But it's that middle ground, right? Middle ground where my job's gone. I don't know where I'm going to find another job. What do we do about that? What do we do about that 5,000 people that are now sitting on the backsides going, what am I going to do?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there will be other opportunities for those individuals. However, it also kind of goes, look,
what opportunities?
AI,
what opportunities for those individuals?
But
what opportunities though? So I'm a customer service expert, and I've got, there's a chatbot does my job now. What opportunities have I got? And I think this is the issue. The argument that AI will create new jobs, maybe, but not for the customer service person, not for half the bloody world that no longer have a guaranteed income. I don't think we can just pass that off and say other opportunities will come, because a lot of the people that know this stuff think there is going to be a massive issue with far too many people who haven't got jobs, and that's just creates an issue with finance, but also creates an issue with, you know, what I do with my life. Where's my purpose gone? Sorry to interrupt you, my friend.
No, absolutely. And look, I absolutely with you. There's challenges that lay before us, 100%. And if I was in one of those particular roles that unfortunately had meant my job had been lost or shifted or changed, I think we need to upskill. I think this is the time that AI is not going to necessarily take everybody's job, but the person that can use AI will, because you're more likely to be kept and retained because you can now use these tools to do things smarter, potentially better, and I'll be very careful with my wording here, but better, smarter, quicker, and the output can probably be done in a fraction of the time. So I take copywriting. Again, a lot of our listeners and viewers over the past years, where we've interviewed hundreds of different business owners from around the world, they would have a small team around them, maybe a marketing team, maybe they'd employ a copywriter, maybe they employ a graphic designer, a website designer, I'm talking very marketing here because it's very easy to put into place. But my question would be to our listeners and viewers, if you outsourced blog writing in the past or content creation, maybe a social media, creating the content or writing a blog or a newsletter, do you still outsource it? Or are you utilizing the tools that are available to you at the end of your fingertips? Because I know from having conversations with lots of people are using these tools to write content. And I'm going to be very brave here. And I know I'm going to get shot down because if you're a copywriter out there, why wouldn't you disagree with me? But I am pretty confident that if an AI is trained correctly, okay, so you're not just opening it up and saying, do this, and you use the right terminology, you use the right prompt, I believe that AI can write content better, much faster, much more efficiently than a copywriter. Brave statement. But I've challenged this live in the room with business owners, even with copywriters in the room, and they didn't say, no, you're wrong, David. In fact, you're right. And, and I asked the question, are you using AI to help you? Yeah. I'm using it to help me research or to go through and check what I've written. They still have a place, but they're being replaced. And I don't think that's going to change. I think there's jobs now that are coming to a natural conclusion, an end. But if they upskill themselves, there'll still be a place for them. But it will be just doing it in a slightly different way. And if you're a graphic designer, well, everyone's going to Canva or utilizing tools. You can ask Gemini now to create an image of X, Y, and Z. Hey, presto, here we go. And, very quickly, this was turned out within literally moments. And to me,
come on,
this is the problem. So for me, I do believe that we can utilize these tools for benefit. They're not here to replace the human altogether. I don't think we're going to end up with Skynet and the end of the civilization as we know it today. However, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't go into the future and see what 10, 15 years looks like. But the pace of change has never been this fast. And it will never be this slow again. So I do think we're going to see big, big changes. And it's happening now. And it's only going to happen quicker and a lot more.
Okay, I have some issues, right? So upskilling, right? The idea, I think it's easy to suggest, right? Let's say London get themselves sorted and they go to self-driving cars like LA. Okay, so we've got self-driving taxis across London. I don't know how many taxi drivers there are in London, but imagine if over a year, human taxi drivers are kind of essentially replaced by automated driving vehicles. What do we do with those thousands of taxi drivers when we suggest, you just need to upskill? Okay, but I've always been a taxi driver. I know my way around London. I pass the knowledge. I'm great with customers, but now that particular line of work is no longer viable. What upskilling is too easy an idea. Because imagine, right, you and I, okay, let's just say you and I, all of the work that we do or have done is no longer relevant. We need to find something new. We will we need to upskill or pivot. Now we're entrepreneurs, right? So our businesses evolve over time, right? So we stand a good chance. But what would you do? I'm too old, right? I'm too old to start again. So if they turn around and say, Nick, all your stuff's now redundant, I don't feel I've got a place, and upskilling, I don't even know what to upskill to, and there's no guarantees. How long ago was it that the government said, right, need to introduce coding into schools? Every child needs to learn how to code. That wasn't that long ago, and now that's dead, right? Coding's dead. So if you're sitting at school thinking, I know how to code, forget it. AI codes better than you. AI does copyright better than you. AI does creative better than you. And I want the humans to absolutely not just embrace, but make the most of technological tools. But I don't think we thought about what's coming and why we would introduce it, let alone what we're going to do with. In a real ideal world, it'll be fine. The work will be so much easier. We'll have a load of free time, and we'll go for a walk. But I don't see that. I've never seemed to have happened in the past with time-saving devices. I am concerned.
And there's one thing I'll mention there. You're right, Nick, because it might allow you to do more in less time. So, let's just say your normal working day, God forbid, is 9 till 5. And, normally you'd be packed out 9 till 5. But using these amazing tools, and they are amazing, you can't knock them, they will change lives. Bring these tools in, and you can do the same amount of work in half the time. I'm being kind of just very flippant here, just using it as an illustration.
Right, you give me half the day.
Yeah, half your day back. But do you then get to 1 o'clock in the afternoon and go, well, look, I've done the work I was done by 5, so I'm going to pack up, shut the laptop lid down, and go out for a walk, go and spend time with the family, go and do a hobby or an interest. No, what you end up doing, how much more can I get in the extra 4 hours I've got left? So we end up just filling that time, literally what you've just said, filling that time with more stuff. And I think what we're going to have to do is learn to detach ourselves and understand that there's a certain, that time is allocated to work mode, and using these AI tools can aid me and help me. I do believe we can get to a point where, and we won't go into all the detailed technical here, but AI agents can be configured and set up that you can just press the button, you give it its task, give it its duties, what it's going to do and achieve that day, and you can set it up, and then you can kind of move off and kind of drop in, come back, and you can go for that walk knowing it's being productive. I think there is an absolute place for that. But we're going to still find that we're going to utilize that time probably doing things that we're still working on. So are we really saving time? Are we really gaining time? Are we going to benefit from it? Or are we going to just fill it with more shit, basically?
I think it's essentially that. Because if you're employing me from 9 till 5, you're expecting me to turn stuff out from 9 till 5. And if I can get it all done by lunchtime, you're not going to pay me for the afternoon. And you're a very busy entrepreneur, David. If you had, and you no doubt utilize many AI tools to save you a load of time, have you found yourself finishing at lunchtime and thinking, right, the rest of the day is my own because I've done everything that I meant to do? No, mate, you're still piling it in, just like most other people would. Like, take email, right? I know email's old-fashioned now. God, I wish we'd seen the end of it. But it quicker than a letter, more efficient than a fax. Brilliant, right? Didn't mean we just, sent the half dozen emails instead of letters. No, thousands and thousands of the blooming things. We can't escape from this technology. That's what in Neil Postman means. It's not additive, right? It's not brilliant. I've got a few AI tools, so I got my afternoon back. No, everything changes. And I think so. I guess a lot of the conversations, a lot of the big conversations are about what does the world look like with AI. A lot of the localized conversations are about what tools are you going to use to drive efficiency. And there's this mid ground, which hopefully we can jump in on, and think what are we going to do between those big gaps? We've got some tools that are efficient, brilliant. Google Maps gets me around the traffic, fantastic, right? Saves me time, brilliant. But what is the stuff I should avoid because it's going to eat me alive? And then where can we realistically live? What space? So I am one of the few non-Chat GPT users. Simply won't use it because I value my brain, my intellect, my mind more. That I want to flex this muscle rather than Chat GPT muscle. And that might be outdated. I might be being outthought, outmaneuvered, out everythinged by the technology. But I want to hang on to the grey matter. I want to flex that muscle more than most.
And I believe, Nick, you can still flex that muscle. Absolutely. 100%. But these tools, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, or 8 other, there's lots of them out there.
There's too many.
But there's lots of them,
What a
and there's
toolbox.
lots of choice, and they're all good at doing different things. Whether you're creating video, whether you're creating images, whether you're doing copy, whether you want it to do particular tasks, they're all fantastic. And again, at the moment we're in this AI race, as I call it. They're all trying to beat each other. They're all trying to get to the top of the ladder, and they're all going to do things in a slightly different way because they want a segment of that market. People say to me, how much do you spend on AI tools a month? And I play with lots of things to learn and be able to share. And I've roughly worked it out. I'm probably spending somewhere between $250 to maybe $400 or $500. And I use dollars because a lot of them are done in dollars, but equivalent in pounds, £300 to £400 per month. But I see that as quite a good investment, because if I was to employ a PA or a VA, virtual assistant, or a personal assistant, I'd be paying them probably £2,500, £3,000 a month. And these tools are not a human replacement.
You're a generous employer.
Well, there you go. You see, like to look after my team, but I'm not saying that that you still need people. Please don't think I'm not saying you don't need people, but these tools, lots of us have probably been into meetings where the calls are recorded, transcribed, agendas are sent, created from it, feedback is created from it, action points, minutes of the meeting, etc. Did anyone do shorthand anymore? Can you employ a personal assistant that can physically take shorthand? Possibly, but it's a thing of the past. Why would you employ someone to sit there and spend an hour in a meeting or 2 hours taking all those minutes when the AI can do it far better, far more accurately? So for me, these tools are a way of doing things that we used to do in a different way. They're just making us better and giving us the results that we need, and in some cases saving money. And I'm just picking on one particular subject there. You talked about coding. If you want to create a particular application in your business now, you can just code it yourself, and you don't need to be able to understand or be able to write code. Just tell it in human context what you want, and hey presto, it'll build you a dashboard, or it'll create you an application to do X, Y, and Z. I've created many of these now. In fact, maybe in a future series, I'll share a few of the things that you can create, but I'd love to know what other people are doing with it as well. So we're not talking about replacing humans altogether. We're talking about giving them the ability to do their job quicker, more efficiently, and I do believe, better as well. But don't take away the human interaction, because we have to have healthy conversation, as we know, because that's what Chatbox was all about and will always be about as well.
I get it, mate. I get it. Certain tools will drive efficiency, for sure, right? And we are surrounded by these efficiency driving tools. And speaking from your perspective, investing in the AI tools, you don't need someone to do shorthand. You got note takers on AI, and well, I can see it. I can see it from your perspective as an entrepreneur, kind of running a business or two or three. There's some brilliant tools out there, but most people aren't entrepreneurs running a few businesses. Right? There are more PAs out there that are being replaced by note takers, AI note takers, than you and I, for sure. And I get it, right? Why, as a business, why wouldn't I just use the AI tools, much cheaper, doesn't need a holiday, will do the notes absolutely fine, which is fine, drive efficiency, but also just ask the question, at what cost? Right? Because it's blooming lonely if you never see anyone. You got all the tools, it's absolutely fine. I think there's a shift, and kind of businesses tend to recognize the shift is off kilter when one of the three or all three things happen. Innovation takes a nosedive. Right? Innovation, it thrives in groups of people who are kind of just iterating on each other's ideas and having conversations around them. So innovation starts to go downhill. Internal innovation, a load of innovation coming from outside. The company culture dissipates, right? Because culture is about people, and we don't get together anymore. We don't go down a pub on a Friday afternoon. We don't go to real meetings. We just jump on calls and send emails. Culture dissipates, and retention becomes an absolute nightmare. Right? Why would I work for this company when I can still work from home and I can work for them and it's a couple of grand more? And I, if you have ever left an organization, it's only the people that you miss. And if you've not got that kind of people thing going on in your business, then no one's going to stick around. In fact, the really good people aren't working for some of the organizations that absolutely need them, because it's not ticking the right boxes. We're only just opening this can of worms, mate, but I think we're onto something.
I think we are. And we want to keep these episodes quite short, because what we're going to try and do is record regular episodes, get the feedback from our listeners, viewers, and our live audience where we're in the room as well. In fact, we'll share a little bit about that, but Nick and I do a monthly gathering. If you're in the Essex area, that's Essex, United Kingdom, just in case you are further afield, not too far outside of London. We get people in the room, business owners, entrepreneurs, and we have great, real human-centric communication and conversations. So if you're interested in that, let us know in the chat and we'll share more information about it. But we're not here to pitch. We want to really just evangelize this AI and human world, because I do believe it's only going to get maybe more exciting, become more demanding in the future as well. And I've just got a quote I want to just bring up, because you use the word imagination, Nick. And this is my kind of quotation from me to close down this afternoon's show. And then I'll let you have the final words and wish us farewell and goodbye. But Albert Einstein, famously quoted, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all we now know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there will ever be known and to understand." And I love that quote, because it's all about imagination. And AI doesn't have really imagination, because that's us. That's human. We have the imagination. The AI has the knowledge.
That's a good quote, mate. That's a good quote. I wonder if Albert Einstein actually did say it. Well, it's just attributed, like most things, attributed. You can attribute anything, right? Oh, yeah, Albert Einstein said that. But it's whoever said it, brilliant quote. And I think it hits a really interesting point, that AI knows what it knows. It doesn't know what it doesn't know, but it's based on the world's knowledge, right? Scrape the world's knowledge, whether you've got copyright or not, right? It seems to scrape the world's knowledge. But where do the really new ideas come from? That blank piece of paper idea, that spark of genius. You think, wow, that seems rare now, because most of this stuff is closed down by the big organizations. But there are people out there having sparks of ingenuity. The imagination is feeding something magical, and that thing that's magical has been derived from a human. So there's still space for us, as long as we keep talking, as long as we keep fighting the good human fight, and with a bit of knowledge of what tools will help and what tools will not help. Let's carry this conversation on, my friend. Let's have another episode. And lovely audience, feel free to comment. Tell us it's a load of old twaddle when we should be talking about this, or talking about that, or just point out where we need to go with this discussion and join in. It's not just David and I, it's all of us need to be talking about this.
Yeah. Until next time, which we're not quite sure when that will be, but very soon, be safe, be well. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Cheerio.